What's that quote that Terrell Owens used to say? I
I
love
love me
me
some
some
me.
me.
That's right. Promo up front, party in the back. The moment, a full podcast.
And now the end is near. And so we face the final podcast. Kirby, I'll say it clear. I'll state my case, of which I'm certain, and that is absolutely how we're going to enter episode number 236, the Promo Upfront podcast, the final ride, if you will. I'm one of your hosts, Bill Petrie. With me, as always, let's call him the captain of collaboration himself, the one and only Kirby Hasseman. Kirby, how the hell are you? And before you answer that, let me open up. Why don't you go ahead and open up your beer?
Hope it's still good.
Well, that was anticlimactic.
Yeah, it
And
was.
I'm going to open up my bottle of whiskey.
Uh-oh. Where's this going?
And I am drinking a little. What do you have in there, Kirby? What are you drinking today?
It is Commodore Perry IPA from Great Lakes.
Okay, and I'm drinking, fittingly enough, Sinatra Select from Jack Daniels. A little whiskey here as we do our final podcast. So you doing okay, Kirby?
I'm doing all right. This is delightful. I knew
Good.
we'd have a cocktail or something during this, and
Yeah.
I went to my fridge and I was like, okay, so there's a Christmas ale from not this Christmas but last Christmas,
Yeah.
or or an
Well,
IPA, and they say IPAs
it's
last longer.
aged.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
aged.
So I'm doing good,
Um,
buddy. How are you?
Good, doing good. Kind of been a whirlwind week. You know, we dropped a little bit of an announcement on all seven of our listeners.
Yep, we sure
I
did.
think we heard from all seven of our listeners when
Yeah,
the news came out, which was kind of nice, kind of
yeah.
exciting. And so we'll get into that probably a little bit more down the road. But before we do that, we have a little bit of business to attend to, if you will, Kirby. Now, hey, distributors. It's 2025, and your clients are no longer satisfied with you merely acting as a middleman, slapping their logo on generic, predictable, and frankly, uninspiring products. What they're demanding is something more, merchandise that feels thoughtfully curated for their unique brand. The days of relying on standard off-the-shelf items that are available to everyone, yeah, those days are over, pal. To stand out, your clients need something exceptional, products that truly reflect their identity and set them apart from the crowd. And that's where our friend Russ Mogel and his team over at Seven Sourcing come in. With over 30 years of direct custom merchandise sourcing, they are the clear leaders in the space. And here's just a few reasons why you need to partner with them on custom merch sourcing. Number one, establish relationship with vetted and trusted factories. Number two, ensure all merchandise passes a rigorous quality control check by an accredited third party partner. Number three, they comply with and frequently exceed industry standards, manufacturing requirements, and product safety regulations. And number four, they manage every part of logistics and communicate throughout every step of the process. Now, in other words, with their expertise, they know how to deliver bespoke merchandise that will position the distributor as the hero in the eyes of the client. I love that.
Yeah.
And they do that while steering clear of the common pitfalls that come with it managing on your own. Now, Kirby, I know how much you love Seven Sourcing and their expertise in direct custom sourcing.
Yeah, the two words that came to mind when you were going through that were vetted and communicate, right? Like
Hmm.
because if you're working with folks that you don't know overseas, you've never been to the factories, you don't know all that sort of thing, they've vetted them. To me, that's really,
Yeah.
really valuable. And let's face it, any supplier who communicates in a great way is immediately stands out in the industry. So those are the two things that stood out to me.
Yeah, 100%. Now, to be clear, Kirby, yeah, it takes a little bit more time, typically between 75 and 90 days, to design, develop, and deliver truly unique and original merchandise. But isn't that extra planning worth it to craft exceptional products that foster lasting loyalty? We don't just believe it, we're certain of it. So when you're ready to elevate yourself from just a promotional products distributor into a true partner who delivers exactly what your clients crave, unique, custom branded merchandise designed specifically for them, reach out to Russ and his team at sales at sevensourcing.com. All right,
Right.
Kirby, I am just going to command and take up front today because I know we're both going to talk about anyway. I titled this section "Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen." I'm just going to talk a little bit, then Kirby just
Mhm.
chime in.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
Kirby and if you read the article that John Corrigan from PPI wrote, which was fantastic, 100% accurate, by the way, if
Yeah,
if you read it. If not, why? Let's just address the question of why we're not doing the podcast any longer.
right.
Really, honestly, I can't stand Kirby any longer. I just can't take it. I've hit
We should
no.
probably not bury the lead in case nobody had read the article. Hey, this is gonna be the
That's
final
right.
podcast, right? Like we've
Yeah,
decided
this is
to
the
shut it
final
down.
podcast.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, this is the final podcast if
Yep.
people did not see the news. No, kidding aside, Kirby and I have done a weekly podcast for almost 8.5 years. First, it was unscripted for 206 episodes, and we did that over at Promo Corner. We took about a 4 week hiatus after I left Promo Corner and started Brandivate, and we started the Promo Upfront podcast through Brandivate. We did, including today, 236 episodes. That's a lot of talking, folks. That is a lot of every week.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people look at Kirby and look at me as beacons of consistency. And when I look at these numbers, I'm about to share some numbers with you. I think there's some merit to that. And it gives
Yeah.
me some joy in feeling like, you know what, I think we actually left a little bit of a mark on the industry. And I'm not usually prideful or boastful, but I kind of feel okay saying that.
Right.
We did a combined 442 episodes, which translates into 31.6 days of straight podcasting, nonstop.
I mean, just say that out loud. Let that marinate.
Yeah.
31 days of talking to me.
31.6 days. 200, or talking to me. 221 hours or 13,260 minutes, which is absolutely a lot of talking. So there's been times over the past, I'd say probably 2 years, where one of us has gone to the other and said, "Hey, I'm wondering if it's time to maybe wrap this up."
Yeah.
Because we always knew there's going to be an end, and
Sure.
we agreed kind of in the beginning. If one of us decides it's over,
Yeah.
it's over. We weren't going to continue on. We're not going to find a new co-host. Whatever Kirby and I've created is unique, but it belongs to Kirby and I,
Sure.
and doesn't belong to anyone else. So, and when those times have happened in the past, we've talked each other out of it.
Totally.
Kirby came to me in, I think, September. Sounds
Mhm.
about right.
Yep.
And said, I'm ready to I'm ready to wrap it up."
Mhm.
And after thinking about for about 40 seconds, it was the first time I didn't have like a visceral no. It
Yeah.
was more of a, yeah, I think it's time.
Right.
I think it's time.
Yeah, and I think that it's funny because I think like probably the first couple times as I think back, and maybe I'm wrong on this, and uh, as always, feel free to correct me, but I think the first couple times it was you who said,
It was.
"Hey, maybe it's time," and I remember just going,
Yeah,
that's good, we're good."
absolutely.
Yeah, and yeah, this last time it wasn't anything bad, and I think it's one of those where each of us. And I think that's part of it. I think the respect, mutual respect, like in the past, we'd be like, "Oh man, I'm still enjoying it," and you were like, "Okay, that's fine." Just wanted to bring it
Hmm.
up, and then this last time, I'm like, "Okay, I feel like the grind is starting to wear on me a little bit."
Yeah.
And you were so gracious to say, "Hey, okay," and and like you said, I remember you saying to John as they were doing the interview, he's like, "I think I could have talked Kirby out of it," and you probably could have,
I
but
probably could have.
I appreciated your sort of I don't know, respect for
Well,
my time and my opinion and all that sort of thing. And it was like, you know what it is, Bill, and you and I haven't talked about this until right this moment. You know
yeah.
how, for me, when I make a decision, like there's always the
Hmm.
finality of making the decision, but sometimes when it's the right decision, once the decision is made, I feel lighter.
Yeah.
Once we kind of both came to the conclusion, okay, let's do it, and here's where it is. I was like,
Yep.
oh yeah, this was the right decision because I feel lighter.
100%. It felt right. And I think going back to when you brought it up, it was the first time I think I really felt the weariness of what you call the grind.
Yeah.
We've talked about how the division of labor, and it is a pretty fair division of
Oh yeah.
labor here.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it is not a grind.
Yeah.
And what we didn't probably talk about in John Corrigan's article, this podcast, Promo Front, was really intended to be a vehicle for Brandivate.
Yeah.
What Kirby gets out of it is hopefully the joy of just talking to a good friend.
100%. Yeah.
But it's not his marketing. It's not helping his business, where it
Mhm.
is absolutely 100% part of the marketing that I do for Brandivate. So,
Sure.
I heard for the first time when you brought it up, like, I think he's really done. And
Mhm.
I want to respect that to what you said.
Yeah.
I want to respect that. And it reminded me, and it's something I did say in the article. I want to make sure I order my last drink before last call. Um, and it felt like there were times over the last year or two where we've done so many of these.
Yeah.
I know as we're recording, and again, we don't edit this podcast. We really don't. But there are times we're recording, I'm like, man, I think we talked about this 29 episodes ago. I'm pretty sure we did.
Right.
And so there was that fear of, if we're thinking we're being redundant, and maybe we are, what is the audience thinking? Are we unintentionally um, causing them fatigue?
Mm.
Causing them fatigue. And I never wanted to do that. I know you didn't either. It was never anything we wanted to do. We
Yeah.
wanted to do it all.
Yeah, and I would tell you, I do want to say, like John Corrigan from and PPI Media, God, I'm always
Mhm.
so impressed. We've over the years we've talked about ASI and their media team; they do an
Yep.
amazing job. PPI, but
Yeah.
John was super gracious about doing that, so I do want to like thank him, like sort of
Oh,
publicly. Like, that
100%.
was
Well, and
because
the way you approached it was interesting. But you were going to make a point, and then I'll get to what I
yeah,
was
it
going to
was
say.
so the part that like I think this is fair to say. You orchestrated how we were going to announce this.
That
Um,
would be
eh,
fair.
yeah, and just like, hey, I think this is what we should do. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay. And there was a couple
Yeah.
discussions where I pushed back on a couple things, and you won.
And I pretended we were doing the podcast, and I just went, wrong.
That's right. But I remember thinking, like, no one's gonna care. No one cares. And but
I kind of thought
seeing,
that too, by the way, just for the
yeah,
record.
but seeing the article and the news link come out, it was neat and it was surreal and it was flattering to get the feedback. But seeing that
Yeah.
be the headline, where the headlines are usually like SNS buys Alpha Bro,
Yeah.
and the headline was promo up front comes
Yeah.
to an end. I was like, man, must be a slow news week.
Well, what's interesting to me, Kirby, is the reason I wanted to orchestrate it the way I did. I knew I wanted to continue to podcast and do
Yeah,
some sort of podcast. You
yeah,
were not clear on that in
no,
the moment of,
yeah,
it's time to end this, or I want to
correct.
end it. And so I said, what I'd like is about 10 weeks to
Yep.
figure out exactly what I want to do, how I want to do it. And I think within about 2 days, maybe less, I kind of had a loose sketch of a plan. Okay, here is when I would like the last podcast to drop. That way we go into Expo free and clear, because I mean, there's been times Kirby, God bless him, is lugging from Coshocton, Ohio, a giant microphone. We're sitting in a booth. It's always weird. It's always awkward, and
It
no one's
is.
ever there to watch us anyway. It
That's
was
so
so
right.
but it felt like a
I
good
was
thing to do. But it
I
was one
was
of the
just
podcasts
saying that today. I was just saying that today.
yeah, I dreaded doing those podcasts. I mean, just because not because I'm with Kirby, it just always felt this is just so weird.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so when I laid out the plan and Kirby, in one of the things I was thinking about is, how do we most be respectful to the people who do listen to us? And to be
Mm,
clear, we know it's more than seven. We
yeah,
joke about that. We
yeah,
know I mean, our average listenership between everything's pretty close to 1,100 a week. We know
mm,
that.
yeah.
And I thought we didn't want a goodbye. I did not want a farewell tour. I
Yeah.
hate that when people announce in the beginning of a season that this is their last year, and every stadium they go to get a pair of cowboy boots or this that. I didn't want that for us, and Kirby thankfully agreed with me. We thought the best way was just to say, you know what, in the spirit of what we do, this is the last one. Enjoy it. We're going to do other things. So why don't we talk about
Yeah, love
doing those
that.
other things?
Yeah.
Kirby, what are you going to do after this, or do you want me to go first?
You know what? Let's because for the audience that we're talking about,
Mhm.
your podcast is going to be targeted to that, and I'm like,
Okay.
I'm super excited about that, and
Yeah,
we've talked about you're going to be on Delivering Marketing Joy to talk about it and all that
absolutely.
sort of thing. So
Good
let's
point.
talk about yours first, if that's okay.
Yeah, so if anybody thinks we hate each other, there's still going to be Kirby and Bill collaboration,
Mm,
just so you're aware. And I'm going
for
to
sure.
explain that in a minute. So, I am launching a new podcast called Between Two Brands, and
Mhm.
it is going to launch, shockingly enough, on January 17th
Yep.
at 8 o'clock a.m. Central in the same slot. It's going to be on the same channels that Promo Upfront was delivered on. So, for those of you who have subscribed to the YouTube channel,
Yep.
to Apple Podcasts, or to Spotify, it's just going to show up there. It's just going to have a different name.
Yeah.
Now, the
Perfect.
podcast format is a little different. The first 10 or 5, 10 minutes or so is going to be me. And I'm
Mhm.
excited about that. It's kind of scary to stretch myself a little bit. And I'm going to talk about something probably close to the branded merchandise space, maybe in the branded merchandise space, just my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
And then I am going to bring on a guest every week, where much like Kirby and I I can say used to do now,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
used to, they will bring topics. I have no idea what they're going to bring because I think that's what people so much enjoyed about our podcast is it was in the moment.
You never
It
knew.
was never knew. And much like
Yeah.
the Pro Front podcast, I'm not editing between two brands.
Yeah.
And then the reason it's called Between Two Brands, if you've ever seen Between Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis, that's the loose base it's off of. Very funny. It's a very intentionally awkward interview. So at the end of the topics that the guest brings, I'm going to ask them what I call 5 easy questions, and they're not easy. They're intentionally awkward, and I want it to be fun. I want it to be funny, and I want it to be an opportunity to get to know people in ways you don't know them. So the
Mhm.
first guest is actually Nick Latour,
Yeah.
in a
He's great.
weird sketch. He's awesome,
Yeah.
in with a from merch.ai,
Yeah.
and for in a very strange scheduling conflict, we recorded that this morning. So the first
Oh,
business
I
to
can't wait to hear about this.
Between Two Brands podcast is in the bag. It's already edited. It's scheduled, ready to go. Not edited, but pieced together because
Yeah.
I record my segment individually and then record with the guests separately and just kind
Yeah.
of piece them together.
Yeah.
In Kirby, one of the things that I know Kirby and I, there's a lot of excitement, I think, for both of us, but there's
Yeah.
also some
Agreed.
sadness. And one of the sadness is we've built some things that I think we're proud of. And Kirby has graciously agreed to be part of Between Two Brands podcast.
Of course.
So for at least 3 episodes a year. Now, let's be clear. When a guest flakes on me, Kirby's my, oh shit, I need someone. Get
And I'm
get your microphone
honored.
on.
I'm honored.
So he's on speed dial.
Yeah.
But every year, for 6 years, Kirby and I have done the Powerhouse Women of Promo podcast, and much to our surprise and delight, it's actually developed into something meaningful in the industry. And so we're going to continue that. I cannot picture doing that with anyone else but Kirby. So there will be a Between Two Brands for the Powerhouse Women of Promo this March,
Excited.
and we're also going to do PPAI 100, which I believe comes out in May, and the ASI Power 50, and there'll be Kirby. A little Kirby here, a little Kirby there, a little Kirby everywhere. Um, so yeah, I'm excited about it. I was nervous this morning. I will
Sure.
tell you what I talked about. My topic was the feelings I had that I'm not sharing right now, not because I don't want to, it's just they were just different feelings about ending the podcast and what I'm
Yeah.
going to miss about it and things like that, a little more sentimental.
Yeah.
Um, and then into Nick, and Nick, of course, killed it. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing.
Cool.
What
Yeah.
are you doing? No one cares what I'm doing.
Oh
Everybody cares
no,
what
no, I
Kirby's doing.
disagree. So yeah, I think when we talked to John at PPI about this, I do the Monday Minute, DMJ one-on-one, which is just like a kind of
Yeah.
a me talking about a
Yep.
specific topic. Then Delivering Marketing Joy on Wednesday. We'll keep doing that. Rampant Thirsty Thursday back up. My focus is really on creating content. If people in the industry are consuming it and enjoying it, that's great.
Yeah.
But my big focus is focus. I need to create content for my audience, for my prospects and my customers. And so that's why Thirsty Thursday is going to become such a big focus for us because that's like the number
Yeah.
one requested piece of content that we do. And then
Absolutely.
and then yeah, we actually it's funny you say this. So Jade and I, my daughter and I,
Hmm.
are going to create a new podcast for Husman Marketing for
Hmm.
our audience. Again, if people in the industry listen to it, that's fine. But that's why it's like
Sure.
yours is the industry podcast. And so we're calling it Better Merch, Better Marketing. We actually recorded our first episode today to
There
give
you
it like
go.
we're trying to, build it and try. And I think you will appreciate this more than most is that we're trying to do something that's um, in our wheelhouse that we're
Yeah.
comfortable with, but
Yeah.
make it different and unique from what we've done. And
Yeah. No,
so
it's great.
that's the thing. And so I'm excited about that. We're still working out the details and trying to make graphics that look different, trying to make it so that is its own unique thing. And I know that I don't want to speak for you, but I know Jason Noakes was kind enough to do
Yes.
an open piece of music for me, and it was amazing.
Yep.
And so that was really cool. Makes it so much more professional. And
And
so,
he did
yeah,
he did for me too. I
I
was
just want to
so
make sure you were
nervous.
comfortable sharing that.
No, I was so nervous recording that first part this morning by myself.
Mm,
Um, until I got into it. I neglected to thank him, so I had to insert it when Nick was on. No,
yeah,
I think what you're doing is going to be fantastic. And I've known, gosh, I've known your family for 20 years. I've known
yeah,
Jade forever. And to see the confident, expressive, intelligent woman that she has become,
it's
and she's
cool.
so well versed in our industry, I think she
Yeah,
adds a lot of value. She's fun, but behind that fun is a
yeah,
lot of substance. And I
yeah,
think what you're going to do on that podcast, I'll be watching
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. And I
I
think it's
appreciate that.
great. So I had a head start. I
Yeah,
had my podcast concept done. I had Jason Noakes theme music.
yeah,
I
yep,
had the video opening. I had everything ready to go a month ago. So
yeah.
I've just kind of been waiting, and so I have a little bit of a head start.
Well, I'll
But
share you. I'll
we'll see.
send you. I've got the rough draft, and so I'll send,
Yeah.
or maybe it's episode one. I don't know, but I'll send it to you. You can check it out.
Well, you have access to my YouTube channel, so you
Yeah,
can
I
go see it
do.
right now. So
I do.
I'll just know if you watched it.
Yeah, that's true.
No. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
And again, one of the things we were concerned about, and we want to make clear, and then we can probably move off this, I
sure, sure.
think.
Yeah.
There's no animosity here. I know
Mm.
people want a good FU story. There's not one. I mean, it would be great.
Yes.
And we actually talked about maybe we should come on here and do
Yeah,
like an
like a
actual
fake
fight and
fight.
just walk off the podcast and
Yeah.
leave, and that would be it, which would be
Funny.
kind of funny.
Yeah, kind of funny.
But there's nothing here.
Yeah,
It's just, we've spent 300 or 31.6 days together.
it's
That's
a
just
lot.
broadcasting.
Yeah.
That's just being on here doing this. It's not the prep work. It's not the calls of shit, this didn't get uploaded. I don't know. Hey, the audio is screwed up, which happens, right?
Yeah, it sure
Technology
does.
happens. Or I'm on the road. I mean, we podcasted from hospital rooms, from Mexico, from cruise ships. It
From
just,
trade shows, from
yeah, you
yeah.
name it. And I'm proud of the legacy. I think we've created a little bit of a legacy.
Mm.
Maybe I'm being a little pompous about that. I don't mean to be at all, but just based on the comments from yesterday, it seems like we left an impression, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah, it was funny. I was talking to somebody today from the industry, and they're like, "Oh, that's a much longer run than most sitcoms." And I was like, "And you and I've talked about this, but it's like, yeah, but most sitcoms get the summer off." Right? Like,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, whether we have a legacy, I don't know that I can speak to that or whatever. But what I like about things like this is if you and I have been talking about fitness more recently.
Yeah.
And I don't like to talk about weight loss or pictures or whatever.
Mhm.
What I do like talking about is like, this is how many push-ups I did. This is how
Yeah.
many miles I ran. This is the work I did. And that I'm willing to be proud of because that's
Yeah.
just
Well,
math, right? And I think
and
that's the part that I love what we do. So,
and I think I'm not one to boast about anything,
oh, sure, sure.
which is hard for me to say. I feel like there was some validation almost.
Yeah.
Sometimes Kirby and I do this in a vacuum. We
Well,
see the listener counts, we know all that stuff, but not everybody comments, not everybody says anything, and sometimes it's like, what are we doing this for? There
right.
is that feeling from
100%.
time to time, and so when that outpouring of love comes out, there's no turning back. It's
Yeah.
why I didn't want a farewell tour. I learned my
Yes.
lesson. a long time ago with the brand of a beverage of the week when I was done doing it and I said this is going to be the final one and people were like, "Oh no, you can't." I'm like, "Okay, I'll keep doing it." And 2 weeks later, it was crickets again. Learned my lesson.
Yeah.
It's just time for us to do other things. And I'll tell you what else it's time for, Kirby.
Ooh,
You
that's just
know,
top transition. That's really good.
it is next level. You know, it's a lot of people know how to build a business,
Mm.
but so few know how to really sell it, really maximize their investment. And they don't understand the process involved to ensure they find the right partner to maximize that return. Now, truthfully, Kirby, you need an expert. And that's where
Yeah.
our pals over at Certified Marketing Consultants come in because they're an expert
Mm.
in the promotional products industry.
Right.
And they can help you really understand what the value of your organization is and what you can get from selling it. Jamie Watts and her team have decades of experience, like I said, specifically in the branded merchandise space, facilitating private company sales. So, to help you evaluate if it's time to sell your business, I want you to reach out to CMC at info@certifiedmarketing.com for a confidential discussion today. Hey, they're going to be in Vegas next week. Jamie is, so you can email her at info@certifiedmarketing.com. Set up a meeting. Hey, you never know. 2025 might be the year you want to retire, you want to maximize the return on your investment, sell your business. She's the person to talk to.
Yeah, Jamie's one of my favorite people in the industry. She's awesome.
Ab 100%, just salt of the earth,
Yep.
good human being. All right, Kirby, we decided to do one more topic,
Yeah.
and it has to be from the promotional products professionals page. Cheers to the promotional products professional page.
8 years.
Without you, there is no Promo Fund podcast. So there was a post. It's been taken down, but enough people saw it. But I'll go through it real quick. At the last minute, someone decided last week to go, or I guess this week,
It
to
was
go to
Orlando.
ASI Orlando
Yeah.
and was incensed that he was going to be charged $199 to walk the show in Orlando.
Yep.
My favorite part about this guy's post, it really wasn't about the $199. It really
Right.
was about the humble brags the guy rolled out. And they are, you want to talk about a next level transition? These are next level humble brags. Let me read them. I have them quoted if you don't mind. You're asking me to drive to Tampa to spend 3 hours walking your crummy little show. One day of my time away from the office, let me read that again. One day of my time away from my home office working for my top 10 distributor is worth $40,000 in revenue. Really?
Wow.
That's a wow. And
Hold on.
this might be
I'm
my favorite
excited to
one.
do the math.
Yeah, as a top 1% of the top 1% of reps in the industry, you, ASI, should be paying me to attend your event. I shouldn't be paying you.
Nice. All
And then
right.
the final one. Y'all used to bribe me with a free hotel, etc. I never needed that and never used it. Now you have the nerve to ask me to pay. And then he went on to bash ASI. He compared what ASI does to what PPI is doing, how they price and all that. I have thoughts, but Kirby, I've spoken enough, perhaps too much.
No,
Why
no,
don't you
no,
start
no.
off? While
Yeah.
I pour myself another smooth Sinatra Select from the good people at
you,
Jack Daniels.
you've earned that. Yeah, this is again, it's fine. I mean, he what's that quote that Terrell Owens used to say? I
I
love
love me
me
some
some
me.
me. And that's I was he is absolutely entitled to his own opinion. I think that the idea that somehow he provides ASI any value is a little laughable. If you want to say that you provide, if you are really doing 10 to $100 million in sales, you
Yeah.
personally doing 10 to $100 million in sales, which I mean, I got a sneeze coming on. Bullshit.
Bless you.
Um, was I don't believe you. It's fine because if you did, you wouldn't have the time to take the time to send that pissy email because that would be taking time away from that amazing business you're doing. And so the whole thing is just it was
It's
gross.
laughable. If you sell that much, You're not going to the trade show. You have underlings, you have employees go to the trade show for you. You are orchestrating. You are not getting your hands dirty. You are not a ham and
Yeah.
egger. You
Yeah.
are a CEO.
Yeah. Mark
And I'm
Simon is
sorry.
not worried about walking the trade show floor.
No, not at all. And so my first thought was, hey, ASI is a for-profit company.
Yeah, they're
So,
allowed to charge. Yeah.
that they can charge what they want to charge. The second is, you're a pompous ass.
Of
Um,
course.
you decide 2 days before the trade show you want to go, and you're
Mm.
incensed that you're charged kind of a last minute fee. Screw you.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, what an asshat move. And again, if the PPP page giveth and taketh away, and today it giveth. Oh, and I tracked my camera again.
That's
I gotta
great.
turn it off.
You
I
got
don't
a
like.
you got a
No, I
new
don't.
one, right?
Yeah, I did get a
Is-
new camera.
It looks good.
Um,
Looks good.
yeah, I don't know about that, but it was so funny, and like you said, you've got time to send off, you got time to get on Facebook. I'm sorry
Mhm.
if you're selling what top 1% of 1%, $40,000 times what,
I
what do you
did
think you
so.
sell?
So
Or what's the
I
math?
did the
What does he
math.
claim to sell annually?
So let's say he sells $40,000 a day.
Yeah.
Kudos, by the way.
Yeah,
Times
super.
250 days, or is he
That sounds
doing?
great. Yeah.
So let's go 300 because if you're working that
Yeah.
hard, so 300
Clearly.
days, $12 million a year, you, one
If
person,
if you are selling $12 million a year and you're a solo guy, I you know what, Josh Ellis, everybody at Ellen Tucker, PPAI,
you should.
Hall of Fame right now. I don't
Yeah.
know what the requirements are, but he's in.
Yeah.
No, this guy's full of crap, and whatever. All right, Kirby,
I
do you have
love
a
it.
topic for us, or should we wrap this sucker up?
Okay, so you are always surprising me with different questions and lists. So I thought, you know what?
What?
I will throw something at you. And I
Okay.
literally thought of this today. So take it with a grain of
Okay.
salt. It may suck. And so that would be appropriate on our last one.
Okay. That sounds on brand for this podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I've decided there are two types of guys. And the concept about this is that you and I are different, right? Like I
Yes.
think there used to be an old ESPN campaign that said with Mike and Mike in the morning, and that
hmm
Mike Greenberg and
hmm
the other Mike,
Mike Golick.
yeah, thank you. They were just very different people, and they said what makes them different is
Yeah.
what makes them great. And so I decided there were two types of people, and I wanted to know which type of guy you are. So
Okay.
are you
Let's
ready?
go.
All right.
Bring it.
So two types
Yes.
of guys.
Yes.
One would eat the same thing every day, and one
Yep.
likes variety and insists on variety. Which one are you?
Same thing every day.
Really?
Well, so this is a nuanced question,
I was
and I'll
gonna
tell you
say, now
why.
you got
So
me surprised on the first one.
no, 100% because every day for breakfast I have the same exact thing. I have two soft-boiled eggs, a couple pieces of bacon, and a cup two or
Mm,
two of coffee, and I do that just because of my diabetes, and so I do have that. Now, when I go out, absolutely I like variety. So I'm I don't know why you have to make everything black and white, Kirby. Sometimes live in the gray, buddy. Live in the
okay.
gray.
Because I thought for sure I'm the guy who would be happy eating the same thing every day. I thought you were the one. I
I
mean, you're the cook guy. You like.
but when it comes to out, okay, so my immediate thought was breakfast. Outside of breakfast, 1,000% the variety guy.
Okay, okay. Sorry, I
Is that
didn't mean to
fair?
push back. It just caught me off guard.
No, no, push
Yeah,
back, push
yeah.
back.
Two types of
What am I gonna
guys.
do? Cancel the podcast?
One who organizes his workspace meticulously, and the other thrives in chaos. Which are you?
Oh, meticulous, meticulous,
Yeah,
meticulous.
that one
I don't
doesn't
like
surprise me.
chaos.
Yeah, that's fair. I always say that I'm the kind of guy who likes things to be organized, but I don't enjoy organizing. Okay.
I love organizing things. I actually find it therapeutic. There's probably, I'd say, 5 times, 6 times a year, I take everything out of the garage, clean it out, put it all back.
Yeah,
I
I can
just
see
like
that.
that manual labor. I like that. It's mindless. I enjoy it.
That
Yep.
feels right to me. Okay, cool. Because at the end of this, I should know who the hell you are, right? Like, I
Well,
guess, right?
after 31 days podcasting straight, I'd hope you know who the hell we are.
Yeah. Okay. Two types of guys. One always
Yep.
packs way too much for a trip. The other packs light and hopes for the best. Which are
Think
you?
we know the answer to that question. I'm two suitcase Johnny.
Okay. Two types of guys. One that stays loyal to one pair of shoes until they fall apart. The other has a pair for every occasion.
Again, sir, please. I know who I am. and you
No,
should
it's
know who I am at this point. That second suitcase that I bring to Vegas, that is filled with nothing but shoes. You know why? Want options. I don't know what I feel like wearing.
all right. That's great. I knew the answer, but like you threw me off on the first one. I was just like, wait,
Yeah,
I thought I
you're
knew
still
this guy.
verklempt on that.
Yeah, I was like, okay. Two types of guys. One sings loudly in the car, the other sits quietly and listens. Which are you?
I am one loud mofo in the car. I
That was
like to
my guess.
sing. I like to, yeah.
Okay. Two types of guys. Which one prefers the mountains, the other prefers the beach. Which are you?
Mountains, mountains. I don't like the texture of sand. What Kirby's doing here, for those of you who aren't paying attention, he is exposing every weird idiosyncrasy of my
Yep, that's
personality,
it.
and we all have them for sure.
I
But
promise I'm not doing that. I literally did this with ChatGPT.
Kirby is intentionally exposing me. And
I
that's
know.
okay. I'm
That's no
comfortable
problem.
in who I am. So I don't like sand. I don't like the grit. So I'm one of the people, I love the beach and the ocean, but I want to be on an infinity pool overlooking the ocean. I have no use for sand. Don't like it.
Okay. All right. This is the actual question that I didn't know the answer to. So, and
Okay.
literally, I had a couple and I fed it into ChatGPT and I said, give me some more. So most of these are from this, but this
Oh,
is the
I
one.
can answer it already. Magnum XLs.
Oh, okay. Not true. Um,
Okay.
31 days together. Um,
In 45 seconds. All right. So what's
wait, one
the,
more, one more.
yeah, go ahead.
Two types of guys. One reads the instructions first. The other jumps straight into the project and figures it out on the fly. Which one are you? That's the one I didn't.
100% instructions.
Yeah, I kind of figured, but
I am actually to the point now I will open the box, get the instructions, take them in another room, and leaf through them at my leisure and kind of get an idea of what I'm going to be doing.
I was so proud of myself when I put together a gazebo at one point, and this was this
Yeah.
summer. Because I'm not, as you might expect, I'm the
Yeah.
guy who jumps in. And so I was
No.
like, no, this is too big a project. This is my grandkids are going to sit under this
Right.
gazebo. It has to be done right. And so I took every single piece of the thing and I laid it out on the driveway. I had the instructions out, and it happened to be 110 degrees that day. And
Oh,
and the
jeez.
parts were metal. And I was like, well,
Get a little
see,
toasty.
this is what happens when I read the instructions.
You know, I'm not mechanically inclined. I can do that stuff, but I have to be very thoughtful. I have to think about it. I don't need any sort of distraction. And I've learned too many times I think things go a certain way, and
Yeah,
I
I
don't
get
like
that.
unscrewing and having to rebuild things. That's
Yeah.
the worst. So that's why I think, all right. Hey, Kirby, I got a rapid fire for you. One final rapid fire. One final rapid fire.
I would have been disappointed if you would have
All
not.
right, Kirby.
All right.
For those of
Uh,
you who are new to the podcast, it's just a couple this or that type questions. There's no wrong
no
answers.
wrong
I mean,
answers. Yeah.
how could there be? I mean, it's just his opinion. All right, Kirby, are you ready? This is all podcast theme. It's
Okay.
actually our podcast theme. Are you ready,
Okay. All
sir?
right. Let's do it.
Unscripted or promo up front?
Oh, come on, man. Uh, I'm actually trying to give this some thought.
He
Um,
is trying to give it some thought. I can see the
So,
steam
so,
coming
so
out
I
of his
love that. I love
ears.
the promo up front because we've evolved. What I love about
Yep.
unscripted is that that was when we evolved, right? We started unscripted. It was just audio. We didn't do any
Yeah.
video, and I loved how that and what we did there brought to here. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess I like promo up front more because we've evolved as podcasters, but both were pretty awesome.
Okay. I have no answer. Or do I
Okay,
need to? I should probably answer these two, I
yeah, that's
guess.
fine. Whatever.
I say promo up front. You know, I went down a rabbit hole. I went to promojournal.com and listened to episode 1 of Unscripted.
Oh God, I don't want to hear
I would
that.
advise anybody to not do that.
God love promo corner people for keeping it on there, though. That's nice of them.
Yeah, no, they should take it off because I have such high voice and it's like, hey, Kirby, welcome to podcast. What's going on? How's it going? Do you like podcasting? Because I like podcasting, and here we are podcasting.
So
Who's that?
can I just say something? I know we're doing rapid fire, but I'm
Sure.
going to go. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking of doing a podcast, that's what episode 1 is going to sound like of you. It's going to be terrible. You have to be willing to be terrible the first 20, 50 episodes, whatever it is. And it's like, so just know that that's what it's going to be. It's okay. Got to
Yep.
suck
All
before
right.
you
All right, Kirby. Train or no train?
no train, those bastards.
Kirby, if you don't know, Kirby has train tracks. He's in downtown Coshocton, Ohio. And a block over
Yeah.
is a train tracks. And I'd say probably about 4 to 5 times a day a train goes through, maybe a
And they're
lot more,
so
but it's
loud.
always, we've traditionally recorded at 9 a.m. Eastern time. And so right around 9:20 or so, man, train kept a rolling all day long.
Yeah.
So I would have to go with you, Kirby, no train. There's been
Yeah.
plenty of times I've had to kind of just keep
Yeah.
talking
Kill
because you
time
had me
because
on
it's
mute.
so loud.
You're
Yeah.
on mute. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Kirby. Spotify or Apple Podcasts?
Yeah, I'm an Apple podcast guy. That's just where I get my podcasts. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but that's where I get them.
Yeah, I don't, I'm not an Apple fanboy, but just about every product I have outside my computer is Apple just because it's easy. I like the ecosystem approach.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Apple any more than I'm a fan of anything else
Yeah.
in technology. I would like them to play nicer together, and I know
Yeah.
Apple's kind of a stick in the mud about that, but Apple Podcasts. All right, Kirby. Episode 1 of Promo Upfront or episode 236?
Oh, 236. Like
Right.
wrong. Okay. Well, I
No,
guess my
I'm
thought about it is it was fun to start the new thing, but just I love that we've evolved to a
I,
place where you know how we say that like this is just us having a conversation. This one,
yeah.
this
Mhm.
one is just us having a conversation, right? Like
Mhm.
we were literally telling each other stuff about our each of our new podcasts, right?
Yep.
That both of us were hearing for the first time. It was literally this is
Correct.
very much a conversation. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I just wanted to yell wrong one more time to you. I would agree. Episode 1, it was, and again, I've told this to Kirby so many times privately, and I'm going to say it again publicly. The amount of calories Kirby has burned on my behalf to help me with Promo Front. Promo Prompt was ours, but at the end of the day, it really belonged to Brand of Eight, and he knows that, I know that, and it's time everybody else knows that. So where we've evolved, I'm so proud of. But I have a soft spot in my heart for episode 1 because you took time and said, "Yeah, I will help you out,"
Yeah.
and so I'll never forget that. All right,
Thanks, man.
number 645, recording on vacation
Hmm.
or weirdly recording at a booth in Expo. Both suck.
That's a good question. I think I'll probably, so I'm going to go booth and expo. The
Okay.
reason I'm going to say it that way is that I'm just at expo, you and I were going presentation to
Yeah.
presentation to presentation. So it was just
Oh
like, I
yeah.
literally counted it as another presentation I was doing. Whereas
Yeah.
on vacation, it was like, okay, I have to shift out of drinking at 9 a.m. to not really, but like it was much more of a muscle lift. Okay, I got to go back to the room. I got to go back into work mode for a bit. Whereas Expo was just like, it's just another one of the things I'm doing.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. It always, it was always weird. Not weird. Weird's not a good word. It was just always a little uncomfortable.
Mhm.
We generally go to a supplier booth about 15 minutes before we were going to go on. We'd promoted it, and 2 or 3 people would show up.
Sure.
And I will tell you, it's worse podcasting for an audience of 3 than it is for an audience of 0.
Agreed.
Um,
Because then
a
it's just for
thousand
me and
percent.
you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
but
and
yeah,
whereas there we're trying to take in all the stuff. Like if I make you laugh or you make me laugh, that's all that I need. Right. Like, and
yeah.
so it's different
Well,
there.
then you start playing to the audience,
Right.
right? So I totally get that. All
I'll
right,
tell you, can I
podcast
give you
form.
can I give you a side? When we
Sure.
did it in front of, and we did it like I think 2 or 3 times where we did a podcasting course and then we did it
Yes.
live in front. That was
Those are
fun.
great.
Yeah, those were fun.
Yeah. That was great because we could just record the podcast, knock out a piece of content, and give a presentation at Expo.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Um, Podcast format, audio or audio and video combined?
Yeah, I'm a big video guy. So I love I enjoy this. Like again,
Yeah.
back to that when we first did it, we didn't see each other.
Nope.
Like, remember when we used to talk about how when we started doing the video, we realized that we were closing our eyes when the other
Yep.
was talking because we were so
Yep.
focused on the words. And then we're like, oh shit, we're on video. We have to do that differently.
Yeah.
We made that like that's one of the reasons I love the transition. And so I would say video.
Yeah. I
I
was
love
a
seeing
big
your
offender
reaction.
of I was a big offender of that, especially when I was talking to you. I was focusing on so much what I'd say. I noticed I was closing my eyes. Yeah, so 100% I agree with you. I like the video. I like to be able to see you and
Yeah,
react.
yeah,
One of the things I
yes.
know I'm going to miss, and I did touch on this on the Between Two Brands podcast, is the familiarity we have,
Oh yeah,
is knowing pretty much when I'm going to stop talking, and so there's not it's not the word salad that it's probably going that Between Two Brands is going to be. And I asked people in my little preamble there, please give me some grace as I'm figuring this out because
sure.
it's new. All right, Kirby, topics from the promotional products professionals page, or any topic about acquisitions or mergers.
Oh God, PPP all day long. I like,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's funny. I actually like topics outside of that because sometimes
yeah,
the
of
PPP
course.
stuff frustrates me about our industry. Like,
Yeah,
I think sometimes, like, I think back to American Idol, early on American Idol, when somebody who was bad, a bad singer would come on and Simon Cowell would eviscerate them. Like a lot of
yeah.
people love that. I hated that. I didn't like that somebody who was bad, we were making fun of them. And I sort of, it's not the same, but I'm like, it's when we are talking about a topic, it's usually the worst of our industry. And so
Yeah.
it's good topics for us to discuss, but
Yeah.
mergers and acquisitions
It,
are super boring.
yeah, no, I would go with PPP as well because it's fodder. And,
Yeah.
social media is a strange little animal where people will tell you things they probably shouldn't. Like the guy who is all got he's got his knickers in a twist about spending a buck 99, but apparently he's selling $12.5 million a year. So it just, the math doesn't add up. And so
Yeah.
it's very easy to poke fun at that. And I look forward to continuing that rich tradition on the Between Two Brands podcast because I believe me, I'm watching. All right, Kirby, location recording or what we're doing now, which is deep night. Deep
Yeah.
night is when, for those of you who don't know, we would just pick a day once in a while and say, let's have a drink
Yeah.
and podcast. Always longer, always a little rougher around the edges, always a couple of salty words. So which one, Kirby, location recording or a deep night?
Deep night, deep night, deep night, deep night, deep night.
Yeah.
I get, and again, location recording is fine. But these I always enjoy. So yeah, that's mine.
Yeah, Deep Night evolved when I was on the road a lot,
Yeah.
especially in the promo corner days for Unscripted. I'd be like, man, I'm on the road this week, so I'd be in some random Hampton Inn, and I had obligations all day, and I'm like, I'm ready at 7:45. Are you
Yep.
good?
Yep.
And I'd, have a couple cocktails, and
That was
wheels
fun.
started flying right off. I'd agree with you. All right, last one, Kirby.
Okay.
ASI or PPAI? I
Oh,
gotta know.
absolutely
I just
not.
gotta know.
Nope. Absolutely
Gotta
not.
know.
Absolutely not.
Gotta know.
I
Gotta
uh
know.
I think that both of them could sponsor your new podcast, and I think both of them would be a great sponsor. So that's what I would say.
Well, you know what? I have nothing else to say. I think you said it all. I'm just kidding. There's no answer there. We love both the
That's right.
Advertising Specialty Institute and the Promotional Products Association
It's it's
International.
it's it's just different organizations with different missions.
It's
It's
yeah, I
fine.
know, but people get all,
I
people
know.
get just
I think
all
that might
right.
have been like
Well,
a topic for episode one of Unscripted. Like that was one of those things where like we
yeah.
should not do that, and then we've done it a couple times. So yeah,
Yeah. All
I'm a
right.
fan of
So
both.
normally I would try to be the professional broadcaster that I am and just ease into a transition to
Yep.
thank our sponsor, our final sponsor in the Promo Front podcast and Seven Sourcing. But I think before I do that, Kirby, is there anything else you want to say before we sign off on this podcast for last time? This is the last Promo Front. We will podcast together again. It will be very different format though.
Yeah, man. I don't want it to be super saucy or sappy or anything like that, but just it's been fun, man. This is the idea that we've done something together for 8.5 years is
Yeah.
crazy. It's fun. I don't know how you feel about it, but I don't feel like it's been 8 years. Like it really has feel like we've done a lot of it, and it has like we talked about it is a grind, but it's been fun. I've enjoyed it, and I'll enjoy being on Between Two Brands someday, and I'll enjoy when you're
You
on
will.
DMJ. So yeah,
Yeah.
and I appreciate your patience with me. So it's good.
No, I think you said it very well. I think the only thing I have to say is really screw you.
Yeah. All right.
No, I'm kidding.
Maybe another
No, I think
time.
the only thing I have to say is thank you.
Yeah. I
Kirby
gotcha.
and I have known each other for a long time, and I'm not going to get sappy. I have a tendency to do that when we have things like this. I'm not going to do that. I just want to say how much it's been fun. It's been a blast to my Thursday mornings are going to be very different now,
Yeah,
and I that's
I
okay,
agree.
you know. And to what happened yesterday on online with all the
That's
people
good.
chiming, it was a really nice thing. And I know a lot
Yeah.
of people like say it is so. No one likes change when it's forced upon them. So it's hard for I will speak for Kirby here. It's hard for Kirby and I to be excited when we see everybody else being disappointed.
Right.
But I will tell you, Kirby and I will still collaborate. It's
Oh,
just
for
not going to
sure.
be every week anymore, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll make it more special. Maybe it'll be even better than it was. But we wanted to change. It was
Yeah.
time to say goodbye.
Yeah.
And I couldn't ask for a better podcast partner, a better
Yeah.
friend. I look forward to seeing Kirby next week, giving him a big
Can't wait.
hug. And for all of you who have taken the time to sponsor this podcast, to
Mm.
listen to this podcast, to comment on the podcast, to care enough to send us topics for the podcast. Cannot thank you enough. I hope you listen to Between Two Brands. I hope you listen to Kirby's new podcast
Yeah.
with his daughter Jade. I have a feeling it's going to be pretty special. So, with that being said, I just want to say, hey, you know what? It is 2025.
It
If you
is.
hadn't looked at your calendar, kids, it is 2025, and your clients are no longer satisfied with you merely acting as the middleman, slapping their logo on generic, predictable, and frankly uninspiring products. And that's why you need to get with our good pal Russ Mogel over at Seven Sourcing. They handle custom sourcing like nobody else does. The amount of experience they have, 25 years. They have established relationships with vetted and trusted factories. They ensure all merchandise passes a rigorous quality control check by an accredited third party partner. They comply with and frequently exceed industry standards, manufacturing requirements, and product safety regulations, and they manage every part of logistics and communication and communicate through every step of the process. In other words, they really demystify the entire custom merch sourcing. And so they can help you really create something iconic for your client's brand. So email them at sales@sevensourcing.com. And that will be it for the Promo Front podcast. May it rest in peace.
Yeah, brother. We just got to come up with another opportunity to talk on Thursdays. That's really it.
Thirsty Thursday.
There you go.